Which Chinese factory supply for Louis Vuitton? Let me tell you the secret. Louis Vuitton has many Chinese suppliers, but they just don't admit it. 50% of Louis Vuitton bags are from these two places. Number 1, Guangzhou cities. Number 2, Dongguan city.
Chinese manufacturers allegedly exposing the truth behind the production of luxury goods.
Chinese factories are flooding TikTok with viral content claiming to expose how luxury goods are really made in China.
Louis Vuitton just got exposed, and it wasn't a journalist or fashion insider who did it. It was TikTok. A single viral video from a Chinese factory revealed what the luxury industry never wanted us to see. Workers didn't just talk, they showed proof. Suddenly, the truth behind those $1,000 bags wasn't so glamorous. People weren't shocked because the bags were made in China. They were shocked because they'd been sold a fantasy stamped made in France and priced like gold. Now that illusion is falling apart. The iconic LV logo is being seen as the most expensive sticker in the world. This isn't just a brand under fire, it's an identity crisis. As the leaks keep coming, lawsuits pile up, and rumors swirl that the CEO is stepping down, one thing is clear: luxury will never look the same again. It started with a few factory clips. Then it exploded. TikTok was suddenly flooded with behind-the-scenes videos from Chinese manufacturers, revealing exactly where your luxury bags are made. Workers filmed the process. Suppliers listed names. No rumors, no speculation, just raw footage. And Louis Vuitton was at the center of it. These weren't underground knockoff shops. These were real production lines, making bags identical to what you see in official stores. Then came the shocker. These suppliers were selling directly to American buyers. No middlemen, no boutiques. Just the same bag without the markup. The platform turned into a battlefield overnight. Shoppers started flooding Louis Vuitton stores, not to buy, but to confront. They weren't asking about new collections. They were demanding answers. How could a brand built on European luxury be so deeply rooted in Chinese manufacturing? It hit harder because Louis Vuitton has always sold an image: handmade, European, exclusive. But these videos stripped all that away in seconds.
Who are the suppliers behind Louis Vuitton in China? 50% of the hardware, accessories, and the latest materials are all from two cities. And 90% of the sales are from this Riesling in Hangzhou.
And suddenly, the brand's mystique wasn't just questioned. It was shattered. The real outrage didn't start with where the bags were made. It started with how cheap they were to produce. One factory worker dropped a bombshell that stopped everyone in their tracks.
One piece of Togo leather, the same leather as this one, will cost 450 USD. For each bag, the cost is 25 USD. Hardware will cost 150 USD.
A Louis Vuitton handbag costs about $15 to make. That's right, 15, not 1,500, not 500, just 15. And then they turn around and sell it for thousands. All that talk about handcrafted luxury, premium materials, and artisan craftsmanship started to sound like a well-rehearsed sales pitch. Because if the product only costs $15 to make, where's the rest of the price coming from? Turns out, most of it comes from branding. That's what you're really paying for. Not the materials, not the labor, just the label. The final stamp that says Louis Vuitton is added in Europe, giving the illusion that the whole bag was made there. And for years, people believed it. They believed they were buying into something exclusive, something rare. But now, it feels more like a hustle. A premium price slapped on a mass-produced product, the mystique is gone, and customers are starting to feel scammed. Because once you see behind the curtain, it's hard to look at luxury the same way. Just when the outrage over the manufacturing leaks was boiling, Louis Vuitton quietly pulled another move that only made things worse. They raised their prices. No announcement, no press release. No polite warning to loyal customers, just a sudden increase across the board. Bags, perfumes, wallets, everything jumped by 3 to 6% overnight. Shoppers found out at the register. One day, a product costs $1,000. The next, it's $40 more. No explanation. No heads up. Just a silent price hike hidden in plain sight. While brands like Hermes were at least transparent about their increases, Louis Vuitton went ghost mode, and people noticed. The timing made it feel deliberate. While customers were still processing the factory exposés, Louis Vuitton decided to squeeze even more out of them. It didn't come across as confidence, it came across as arrogance. The message felt clear. They didn't think customers would care. They assumed people would still line up, wallets open, ready to pay whatever price was asked. But this time, people did care. The trust was already cracking, and this move pushed it further. What was once seen as high-end fashion started to look like corporate greed in designer packaging. While Louis Vuitton stayed silent, China kept talking. And not just talking showing everything. TikTok turned into a full-blown tutorial hub. Chinese factory workers and suppliers didn't stop at exposing how the bags were made. They went further. They started teaching people how to tell if their so-called luxury bags were actually made in China. They posted side-by-side comparisons, stitching patterns, tag placements, factory codes, even full lists of vendor names. These weren't vague accusations. They were detailed receipts, and they started checking out. Suddenly, customers were pulling out their Louis Vuitton bags and inspecting them under a new light. And what they found confirmed their worst suspicions. The clues were all there, quietly stamped inside bags they'd spent thousands on. The backlash grew louder, not just because of what was being revealed, but because of who was revealing it. People started trusting the factory workers more than the brand itself. In a strange twist, the transparency was coming from China, the place the West often paints as secretive. And the silence was coming from Louis Vuitton, the brand that built its name on prestige and pride. But now, that pride looked more like a cover-up, and customers were starting to feel like they'd been played.
Decades, we have been conditioned to believe that China is just one giant sweatshop pumping out crap while we are the sophisticated, high-end innovators. And it turns out China has just been patiently waiting for us to be completely dependent upon their manufacturers. They have been mastering every technology, absorbing every industry, and then building an empire that doesn't need us half as much as we need them.
With the pressure mounting, Louis Vuitton didn't issue a full explanation. They didn't offer transparency. Instead, they lawyered up. Reports started circulating that Louis Vuitton and Hermès were launching lawsuits against their own longtime manufacturers. The accusation? Breaching non-disclosure agreements, exposing trade secrets, and even worse, selling real designs to the counterfeit market. Allegedly, some of these factories were playing both sides, making real Louis Vuitton bags by day, then running a parallel knockoff operation at night. That meant the same people trusted to uphold luxury standards were also feeding the black market. It sounded wild, but after everything that had already come out, nothing felt impossible anymore. Louis Vuitton claimed these leaks didn't just hurt their image. They gave bootleggers a blueprint to create nearly perfect copies. And now, those copies were flooding the market faster than ever before. But here's the twist. Even with lawsuits flying, the brand still refused to offer proof. No factory walkthroughs, no behind-the-scenes footage. Just more silence, more deflection, and more legal threats. People were left asking one question. If the factories are lying, why not show us the truth? Because right now, all the receipts are coming from the other side, and they're getting harder to deny. At this point, the internet wasn't just curious, it was demanding answers. People weren't satisfied with vague statements or legal threats. They wanted evidence. Actual, visible proof that Louis Vuitton was telling the truth, but none came. Not a single behind-the-scenes video. No confirmation of European manufacturing. No clear breakdown of production chains. Just silence. Meanwhile, Chinese suppliers were dropping tutorials, vendor lists, and manufacturing walkthroughs like clockwork. Even Ferrari shows you how their engines are built. High-end watchmakers show the craftsmanship behind every timepiece, but Louis Vuitton, a brand selling overpriced leather, offered nothing. No visuals, no transparency. Just a luxury fantasy they expected people to keep buying into. That silence spoke volumes, and it started making people suspicious. The more Louis Vuitton avoided the conversation, the worse it looked. The brand that once stood for heritage and craftsmanship now looked like it had something to hide. Comments flooded social media. People asked why a company that prides itself on quality wouldn't proudly showcase its process. Instead of reassurance, customers got lawsuits. Instead of proof, they got silence. And in today's world, no answer is often the loudest one. As the scandal deepened, attention turned to the top. Rumors began swirling that Bernard Arnault, the billionaire CEO of Louis Vuitton's parent company LVMH, might be stepping down far earlier than expected. He once said he'd lead the company until he was 85. He's 76 now, but insiders say the pressure may already be too much. Because this isn't just about bags anymore. It's about an empire cracking under the weight of its own image, and the cracks are costing real money. After a string of brutal quarters and the explosion of this scandal online, LVMH stock took a massive hit. Bernard reportedly lost over $9 billion in a single morning. One morning, $9 billion. Gone. It wasn't just the TikTok leaks that did it. It was the complete collapse of trust. Customers started to see through the illusion.
The dude from Louis Vuitton is selling you the f***ing pipe dream mother. What is he selling you? That the Louis Vuitton bag is gonna make you dope. There's a verse in the Bible that says, at the end of times, the merchants will deceive the entire world. It's a gimmick. It's a facade.
And now he's the richest man in the world.
Investors started pulling back. And now, the company is facing what might be its biggest identity crisis in history. The quiet price hikes, the exposed factories, the lawsuits, the silence every move they made only added fuel to the fire. The luxury label that once seemed untouchable is now scrambling to contain the damage. And Bernard Arnault might be trying to exit before it all comes crashing down. So now the truth is out. The bags aren't all handcrafted in Europe. The prices don't match the production costs. The mystique that once defined Louis Vuitton has started to dissolve under the weight of receipts, leaks, and silence. Customers aren't just questioning the brand, they're questioning the entire idea of luxury. Because if it only costs $15 to make, what exactly are we paying for? A logo? A fantasy? Or just the illusion of exclusivity? And here's the part that hits hardest. Louis Vuitton had the chance to be honest, to show the process, to own their choices. Instead, they chose secrecy. And now, even their most loyal customers are walking away. The luxury world is shifting. And in the age of TikTok, nothing stays hidden for long. Let us know what you think in the comments. Would you still pay full price for a luxury bag if you knew it came from the same factory floor as a knockoff? Or has the label finally lost its meaning? Thanks for watching, and trust this story is far from over.